Manchester City 3-1 Manchester United. Marcus Rashford scored an astonishing first-half goal to give Erik ten Hag's men a half-time lead at the Etihad Stadium, but it was an England teammate who stole the show before Erling Haaland had the final say. Phil Foden stole the show as Manchester City came from behind to see off rivals United in the Manchester derby. Liverpool scored a late winner to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League on Saturday, but Nottingham Forest were furious after an attack of their own was stopped. GAWANG PATAH summarized it for you. Phil Foden haunts Man Utd again as City stage Derby Day comeback. 7 talking points. Manchester City 3-1 Manchester United. Marcus Rashford scored an astonishing first-half goal to give Erik ten Hag's men a half-time lead at the Etihad Stadium, but it was an England teammate who stole the show before Erling Haaland had the final say. Phil Foden stole the show as Manchester City came from behind to see off rivals United in the Manchester derby. The England star scored a hat-trick when the Red Devils were thumped 6-3 at the Etihad in Erik ten Hag's debut season, and he again haunted the under-fire Dutchman, with 2 fine second-half goals before Erling Haaland, guilty of a remarkable first-half miss, had the final say. United had led at the break, thanks to Marcus Rashford's stunning 8th-minute strike. In their first attack of the game, Bruno Fernandes fed Rashford, who walloped a 25-yarder past Ederson for only his 6th goal of the season. But City dominated throughout in a game where United conceded in excess of 20 shots on their goal for the 10th time this season. You can only get away with that for so long, and not against opposition like this. However, the home side did need a moment of individual brilliance to find their breakthrough. 11 minutes into the second half, Foden, faced with out-of-position left-back Victor Lindelof, elected not to look for a pass, stepped in on his left peg and thumped one into Andre Onana's top corner. He doubled the lead after a cute 1-2 with Julian Alvarez in the 80th minute, before Haaland made amends for his earlier horror miss in injury time with a left-footed stroke into the net to send scores of visiting fans out of the ground. Here are 7 talking points from the Etihad. 1. City get the job done against inferior United. It probably wasn't how Pep Guardiola wanted it to go. Heck, you can delete the probably. It probably wasn't how Ten Hag wanted it to go either. Again, you can delete the probably. Ten Hag's side, shorn of Rasmus Højlund when he's just found his feet, went with something of a 4-2-2-2 formation, with Scott McTominay and Bruno Fernandes their most advanced central players. Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho down the flanks. No fixed striker. A rotating cast. Other than Rashford's wonder strike, it didn't really work. There were a few breakaways here and there, but they basically spent 98 minutes defending the edge of their 18-yard box, trying to be resolute and hoping their opponents had an off day. City obliged for a while, but eventually, their quality told. You can't give up a total of 27 shots and 3.32 xG to Guardiola's side and expect to get away with it. With John Stones and Rodri operating at the base of midfield, in front of the back three, and with Haaland the focal point of attack, they were very much back to the 3-4-2-1 formation that propelled them to last season's treble. They wore down an inferior United. A United who know they're inferior. And when they needed some magic, Foden delivered. 2. Rashford's response. This week Rashford hit back at critics who he believes have questioned his desire while playing for United this season. "If you ever question my commitment to United, that's when I have to speak up," he wrote in an article for the Players' Tribune. "It's like somebody questioning my entire identity and everything I stand for as a man. If you start questioning my commitment to this club and my love for football and bringing my family into it, then I'd simply ask you to have a bit more humanity." Certainly, it received something of a mixed reaction among United supporters and rival fans. Rashford is a hero for what he did during COVID, using his voice to get free school meals to kids who needed them to large swathes of the UK. After all, only morons believe kids shouldn't be fed. The point that Rashford missed, however, with this week's statement was that the criticism from football writers, football fans, and football pundits has nothing to do with his off-field actions, either good or bad, but everything to do with what he produces on the field. It felt misguided. This season, having scored as few goals as he has, only 5 in 32 before this, having notched 30 last term, when his body language has looked as disinterested as, on occasion, it has. There's going to be criticism for what people are seeing out on the pitch. The best way to respond, something that shuts up everyone, even if only for a brief time, is to just whack one into the top corner from 25 yards at over 70 miles per hour. His 30th goal against other members of the Premier League's so-called Big Six was probably his best. What a strike. Alas, that was as good as it got for Rashford, who it's believed is nursing a hip injury, but, goal apart, was again largely not at his best, and United. 3. The most unremarkable Premier League record? It took until the 27th minute of the match for the referee, Andrew Madley, to blow his whistle for a foul from either team. It wasn't a bad foul, just a routine, run-of-the-mill mistimed foot-in from Victor Lindelof, the sort of thing that won't make a highlight on Match of the Day. Because why would it? But after an opening where City had dominated possession and, mostly, pressed United back, while being hit on the counter a couple of times and conceded to Rashford's howitzer, it was nonetheless unremarkably remarkable. 4. Haaland's miss. 45 minutes and barely a sniff for Manchester City's number 9, even as his teammates fired 17 shots at Andre Onana's goal. Then he was offered shot number 18 and produced a miss that was barely comprehensible. It's not that Haaland doesn't miss chances. In fact, no one has missed more of what Opta term big chances than the Norwegian this season, partly because, he gets more than anyone else. It's just you don't expect him to miss chances like that. You don't really expect any Premier League striker to miss one from 3 yards. But especially not him. That might be the worst miss I've ever seen at this level, said Gary Lineker on Twitter, with no shortage of recency bias at play. Has to head it. Incredible. Nevertheless, it's one dads everywhere will have been telling their sons, I'd have scored that. 5. Was it a foul? Moments before Foden arrowed one into the top corner to equalize for the champions, there was a coming together between England's speed merchants Rashford and Kyle Walker. Rashford looked like he could race clear. Walker got back in, put a hand on the United forward, who went down and appealed for a foul. A matter of seconds later, Foden found Onana's top corner. Ten Hag made his feelings crystal clear, furiously berating the officials as City countered. He didn't stop when Foden's strike hit the net and duly saw yellow for his troubles. So was it a foul? Those of a United persuasion are likely to argue yes. City fans will disagree. And who am I to persuade you otherwise? Instead, I'll let Gary Neville, the Manchester United legend on commentary for Sky Sports Today, say it for me. There's nothing in that. He's got to stand up there Marcus Rashford and get the ball. Post-game, Ten Hag said, I looked back and asked Rashford if there was contact. Maybe soft, but there was contact. A good place to remind everyone that football remains a contact sport, and thus contact doesn't automatically mean a foul. 6. Foden's best season. Now England. Foden's delicious strike was his 17th goal in all competitions. It was soon followed by his 18th, in what is now his best ever scoring season. None of those have come from the penalty spot, meaning that, in terms of Premier League players, only Haaland, 23, and Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, 21, have found the net more from open play than City's local star. England boss Gareth Southgate, in attendance here, has a couple of interesting decisions to make ahead of Euro 2024, and perhaps the biggest is where does he play Foden? Bukayo Saka has been the Three Lions chief's first choice on the right, and along with Harry Kane, is one of the first names on the team sheet. That's where Foden has been so impressive for City for much of the current campaign. Can Southgate figure out how to play both? Moving one to the left flank, where there is no such standout candidate right now, appears a likely solution. But would it negate the goal threat of either? 7. Over to you, Arsenal. Liverpool won at Nottingham Forest with a late Darwin Núñez strike in controversial circumstances. Manchester City came from behind to claim all 3 points here. This season's title race is hotting up nicely. Now it's Arsenal's turn to respond. Can they keep pace? Virgil van Dijk's stunned reaction during Liverpool chaos involving Nottingham Forest owner. Liverpool scored a late winner to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League on Saturday, but Nottingham Forest were furious after an attack of their own was stopped. Virgil van Dijk was left stunned during the chaotic scenes that saw Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis confront referee Paul Tierney following Liverpool's dramatic 1-0 win at the City ground. Substitute Darwin Núñez scored a 99th-minute winner for the Reds to move them 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. However, the goal did not come without controversy. Forest felt Liverpool shouldn't have even had the ball in the first place. As Callum Hudson-Odoi was in control of the ball on the left-hand side, Ibrahima Konate went down with a head injury after colliding with Ryan Yates and Caoimhin Kelleher. Much to the annoyance of the Forest players and fans, Tierney rightfully decided to stop the game. But once the game was ready to restart, Tierney gave an uncontested drop ball to Liverpool, even though Forest had possession when play was halted. Jurgen Klopp's side went up the other end and scored, causing chaos to strike as the Forest players, staff, and even owner Marinakis protested to the officials after the full-time whistle. Amid all the fury, Liverpool captain Van Dijk appeared to cut a bewildered figure at the scale of Forest's frustration. A clip captured by Sky Sports seemed to show the Dutchman question the complaints of Forest. Van Dijk then tried to cool down the situation as Forest coach Steven Reid was sent off and substitute Felipe was yellow-carded by Tierney, who was surrounded by players and staff. Meanwhile, Klopp was delighted as he celebrated in front of the traveling Liverpool supporters. When asked for his verdict on the controversial decision, Klopp said, "It happened exactly the same in the first half, didn't it? Exactly the same, just the other way round. I accepted it would happen like that because it happened in the first half. If it didn't happen in the first half, I would have asked the question as well. I would assume that's the rule, I don't know. But because it happened twice and got handled exactly the same, I don't really see their reasons for a discussion." Forest boss Nuno Espirito Santo, however, decided against being drawn on the situation. "I will not comment on the referee," the Portuguese said. "Please don't insist on that, it will not be good. It will be a discussion point, for sure, in the week. I hope the decisions will be better,